It is Thursday, July 17th. We're taking a look at the problem that I see over the next couple of days, and that's going to be all of this moisture that's going to start moving north from what's probably not going to be Dexter. A couple of days ago, I mentioned this. There was questions about whether this will be able to form into a tropical depression or at least a tropical storm, a named one. National Hurricane Center now dropping that to a 30% chance. And they've said this all along, and I've said this too. The problem is going to be, no matter what we get, a lot of tropical moisture that's going to be moving north inland with this system. So that's going to cause some big problems, I think, as we move now into Thursday night, Friday, as this moisture moves north. Another issue, too, our front will be draped out like this. Now we've got the problem of seeing heavy rain interacting with this as well. There are some changes on the way for parts of the Northeast. You think it's cool now. Check this out. We're going to get a real punch of dry air as we head toward maybe Monday and Tuesday. South of this line, miserable. A lot of moisture. Temperatures pretty summer-like. Up here, it's going to feel almost, I would argue fall-like. Don't know that it's going to get quite that cool, but some of the models are trying to put some of the highest elevations into the 30s. Pushing this out in time, if you're wondering about the moisture, and this is actually precipitable water, if you took the moisture from the bottom of the atmosphere to the top and you squeezed it out, that's how much you'd get. Anything over red is more than 2 inches of moisture, and it's clearly going to be high along the Gulf Coast states and the Atlantic. But, a lot of moisture across the eastern United States. So we look at the upper level pattern, we are going to see some changes, especially here to the Northeast. Some of these storms out ahead of this trough could get strong heading into Saturday, maybe even into Sunday some, but by Sunday, most of them are done, and we've got the cool air moving in here. Temperatures are going to get hot again across parts of the central United States, although across the far west, we're going to cool down some. At least that's what the European is saying as we move toward the late part of next week. So still some questions on that. And I think you watch this too, a big ridge starting to set up across the central U.S. This could mean more heat, drier conditions. I guess that's the silver lining across parts of Texas, Oklahoma, places where we've seen the heavy rain and the flooding, Missouri, Arkansas. But it comes with a price, and that's going to be the heat. Hey, if you're new to the channel, thanks for coming over today. I'm Travis. Welcome. If you've just joined the video, you can always back it up and take it from the beginning. A lot of times these videos are recorded live, and you can check them out anytime. So hope you'll consider subscribing and coming back, because about half of you aren't subscribers. So come on over. Join the community. Always love hearing from you guys too in the comments. Severe risk today across the mid-Atlantic. Some of the storms could get strong. I think from Pittsburgh south into Morgantown, West Virginia, Fairmont. There were some small towns in northern West Virginia, maybe even down to Beckley, and then over in northern Virginia. So say Charlottesville, Fredericksburg, north up to D.C., Baltimore, over to the coast, Dover, maybe even parts of New Jersey, close to Philly. A couple of these could pulse up this afternoon. Also, here from Michigan, pretty much the entire lower peninsula, all the way down into parts of Ohio and Indiana, down to the Ohio River, Indianapolis. I think you can watch these storms as they form, but really Cincinnati west up towards Dayton, and then back across the central U.S. A good chance of these storms too firing up this afternoon and this evening. The good news is there could be an isolated tornado somewhere, but the tornado risk isn't super high today. Let's look closer, and we'll go in across the entire country. We're going to start really close here along the Gulf Coast states. This is where the heavy rain is really punching in right now. So we'll see that really pick up, especially this afternoon as we interact some of this tropical moisture with some heating. I'm not so sure you don't watch these storms too with a little bit of wind shear in the atmosphere. If some of these pulse up, it could be an isolated tornado. Not a strong landfalling, clearly tropical storm or anything, but we've got a lot of moisture to work with. Heavy rain possible across Louisiana today. That low starts to move inland now, and we really pick our rain chances up across southern Mississippi. So Jackson, all the way over to Shreveport, big rain possible here. Hattiesburg, you're in that line to see showers. And notice how things do settle down some at night as we head into early Saturday morning, but that moisture picks up and moves north. So now I think our target is northern Mississippi. So Tupelo, Starkville, north up to Memphis. Our rain chances will start to go up as we deal with this tropical moisture. By the way, this is a look at your severe weather outlook. Is this, I think that may be an old map. Let's go here. Day 2. This would be for Friday. Yeah, there we go. So Friday we're looking here, also up across the northern plains. And I'll push this out one more day because as we head into Saturday, we'll see more storms across really the upper Midwest. Well, not necessarily the upper Midwest, but I guess central Illinois, Iowa, back into South Dakota, Nebraska. All right, let's keep pushing this out north as we look at our future radar here through the day today. Big storms will start to fire up along our boundary here from Kentucky, Virginia, West Virginia. Boy, we've seen storms here day after day. And I think we've got more on the way, too, heading into today. Some of these storms could start to pulse up this afternoon, this evening. Again, I mentioned Indianapolis. They may form just to your south and east. And then as we move into the evening hours, these are now working very close to Louisville, up to Dayton, and then moving towards Cincinnati, Covington, kicking off to the east. By this evening, we're looking at Charleston, West Virginia, Huntington, and then back to the west here, maybe St. Louis. A lot of these look like they're going to be maybe just south of St. Louis, down toward the Ohio River. Something to watch, though, this afternoon and tonight. Big hit rain possible with these two. A lot of moisture in the atmosphere. And then this cluster of storms looks to form and really hold together some tonight. So now we could be looking at a decent shield of rain moving back into West Virginia, Kentucky, eventually into Pennsylvania, southern Pennsylvania, and then into Virginia heading into, tomorrow night, tomorrow evening. And then look at this. This right here could be interesting. That could be one heck of a cluster of storms if it holds together. I mean, this is kind of a weird time to me. You know, you're looking at what now? 2 a.m. You see the timestamp here. That would be 1 a.m. Central. I think it's hard to see this type of thunderstorm activity, but it's really interesting to see the HRRR picking up on that now heading into, or at least holding together into Friday night and early Saturday morning. All right. More to come on that. Temperatures starting off today. We were cool this morning across parts of Wisconsin. Look at these numbers early this morning. Some of you dropping well into the 40s. Someone told me yesterday in the comments, good sleeping weather. I get that. Wow, that's nice. High temperatures today. Beautiful. Barely getting to 70 across a good chunk of Minnesota, Wisconsin, over into Iowa, a little bit warmer, still in the 70s, even North and South Dakota. We're talking about 60s and 70s. We're hot below the front. We're in the 80s and 90s, and if you get the showers, that's really your only relief to heat. I can't tell you that makes it feel any better because you know how it is, right? It rains. It's been hot and humid. Now it just kind of feels worse. It's just, ugh. You got more moisture that's just evaporating off the concrete and the asphalt, and wherever you are in the grass, and it just feels gross. So more tropical grossness, misery on the way. All right, let's move south and west. These storms across parts of the far southwest. We're going to look at that a little bit closer, but check these out across New Mexico and Colorado. Some big rain possible with these this afternoon. The monsoon flow in full effect. There comes our tropical moisture. We've talked about that. And then we could have a few storms moving into Missouri late tonight and into tomorrow. And you can see a lot of those today into tonight start to settle down. Watching this cluster here late tonight into tomorrow morning, moving to Missouri, I don't know that there's going to be a lot to that. But then heading into tomorrow, notice across Texas, good news here, drier than what we've seen recently. So conditions looking a little bit better here across Texas. Starting off today, muggy, 70s and 80s in some areas. It's going to be hot across South Texas, triple digits, even up towards Dallas, well into the 90s. There's that cool air. Once you get north of Oklahoma, get up here into Kansas. On the other side of the front, we're in the 60s and 70s. Beautiful this afternoon. Not so for Oklahoma City. We're back into the 90s. Some of this cool air tries to push a little bit further to the south, but it doesn't do so. Today's about the last day. Look at this. Tomorrow, even Kansas back up into the upper 80s and low 90s. Further into the south and east, we're looking into Florida too, also the Carolinas. Notice how everything moving east to or west to east here across our frontal zone in this region. A little bit drier here across the southeast. And then, again, more storms. We've talked about these moving across the Ohio Valley. Temperatures today starting off muggy. It's going to be hot again. The only relief to your actual air temperature would be any showers. Here's a closer look into the northeast, though. Big storms possible through today. Some of these could contain some heavy winds. Also some decent rain at times, too, as our front starts to move through. You can see it kicking out of Ontario, across the border into upstate New York, moving through late tonight. So maybe not as much of a severe risk once we get after, 10, 11, 12 o'clock, and then drier heading into the weekend. Look at these numbers. I want to show you this. Today it will be up into the 80s, especially down here along the coast, New York, up to Hartford, maybe even Boston, warm, up to Portland. There comes that push of cool air. Look at that. Lows tomorrow morning, maybe in the 40s, up here into the mountains, the Green and White Mountains. It'll probably get even cooler heading into Saturday morning for these areas. We may drop possibly in some of those sheltered valleys down into the 40s. And it stays relatively pleasant here. A little bit of a warm up heading into Sunday, but look at this. I want to show you this, a decent push of cool air showing up on the models heading into Tuesday morning. I don't know if we get this cool. Models usually overdo things a little bit, but do we see lower 40s here? I don't know. Interesting to see that even showing up, though, nonetheless. Across the west, we've talked about the monsoon across New Mexico, also into Colorado, but we didn't talk about Arizona. So this afternoon, a lot of the storms firing north of Flagstaff up towards the Grand Canyon. Some of these moving into southern Utah. A little bit quieter, though, up here in the parts of South Dakota, although there are storms firing up across Montana. Some of these have some decent dynamics. We could see some stronger storms across this part of the country this afternoon. The moisture across the southwest lifting north. Now we're moving that up into parts of Utah. You can see this here lifting into Colorado, also into Wyoming. Rain chances going down some across parts of Arizona, but more moisture moving into parts of New Mexico. So we'll keep that monsoon flow going. And then across the Pacific Northwest, kind of quiet for now. This front may bring some showers across parts of the far Pacific Northwest. So from Seattle, moving across Oregon and Washington, as we head into Saturday, Friday night, into early Saturday. Here's a look at your temperatures across the west. Hot today. Again, not a lot of changes. Maybe not as hot as it's been over the last couple of weeks, but nonetheless, warm temperatures. All right, if you're just joining the video, it's live. This is the end of it. You can back it up, take it from the beginning. Again, I hope you'll consider subscribing, coming back. I'm Travis. If you're brand new to the channel, I've spent years on TV. I've been out of that business for a long time now. It's hard to believe, but I used to be a chief meteorologist years ago. So if you're new, welcome. If you're an OG, you've been here for a while, welcome back. Hope you guys will come back, and I hope you have a great Thursday. See you next time.